Admiral Susan Martinez stood on the bridge of the EDF Intrepid. Her gray uniform was neat and clean. The large view screen showed the stars of space. Red lights blinked on her control panel. Something was coming. "Admiral, we have 5 large ships coming into our solar system," said Lieutenant John Baker. His eyes were wide as he looked at his screen. Susan nodded. She had been waiting for this day. All humans had been waiting. For 50 years, they had prepared. They built ships, they made new weapons, they trained soldiers, all because they knew aliens would come one day. "Tell all ships to stay hidden," she said. "Don't show our full fleet yet." Captain Alan Parker stood next to her. He was tall with short brown hair. His face was serious, but his eyes showed he was excited. "Do you think it's the hegemony?" he asked quietly. "Yes," said Susan. "Our deep space probes caught their signals last month. They match what we learned from the crashed ship in Arizona. The bridge crew worked fast. The ship hummed with power. But from the outside, the Intrepid looked simple and weak. This was part of the plan. "They're sending a message," said Communications Officer Lisa Green. "Putting it on screen now." The view screen changed. Now it showed an alien. It had purple skin with small scales. Its 4 eyes blinked at different times. It wore a uniform, with many medals and symbols. "Primitive species of Earth," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Grand Admiral Zakthal of the Galactic Hegemony. Your planet now belongs to us. Surrender your ships and resources. If you fight, we will destroy you." Susan looked at the alien calmly. Inside, she felt a mix of anger and amusement. The hegemony thought humans were weak. They had no idea what waited for them. "This is Admiral Susan Martinez of the Earth Defense Fleet," she said. "We welcome you to our solar system." The alien made a sound like a laugh. "You are not in a position to welcome us, human. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your planet will be 1,001. Susan smiled a little. Parker, standing behind her, tried not to laugh. "Is something amusing to you, Primitive?" the alien asked with anger in its voice. "I'm sorry," Susan replied. "It's just that we've been expecting first contact for decades. We thought you'd at least scan our capabilities before making threats." The alien's face showed confusion. "Your capabilities? We have seen your simple ships. You have just reached your own moon. You have small colonies on your red planet. You are children playing with toys." Susan nodded to Officer Green, who pushed some buttons. The Intrepid's passive systems recorded everything about the alien ships. Their shields, their weapons, their engines. All while the aliens thought they were scanning a helpless world. "Maybe we should talk more before making decisions," Susan suggested. "We can meet on our station between Earth and Luna." "There is nothing to discuss," said Zakthal. "You have 1 Earth day to prepare your surrender. Then we will take what we want." The screen went black. Parker let out his laugh now. "They really have no idea, do they?" "No," said Susan with a smile. "And that's our advantage." She pressed a button on her chair. "All ships, this is Admiral Martinez. Start the Neptune protocol. Quiet and slow. Let's not show our hand too early." Deep in the solar system, hidden among moons and asteroids, hundreds of human ships began to power up. Ships with technology the hegemony couldn't imagine. Ships built by a species that had always prepared for the worst. The hegemony thought they found easy prey. They were wrong. Very wrong. Susan looked at the stars on her view screen. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them first contact has been made. And tell them it's going exactly as we expected." Chief Engineer Frank Wilson worked in the engine room of the EDF Intrepid. Sweat ran down his face. His hands moved fast over the control panels. Around him, 20 engineers worked. "Just as hard?" "How's the Hawking drive coming?" asked a voice from the doorway. Frank looked up to see Science Officer Olivia Grant. She was smart, with short blonde hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Almost ready," said Frank. "The diplomats are talking to the aliens right now. That gives us time to finish." Olivia nodded and looked at the large engine. It glowed with blue light. This was human technology at its best. The aliens had no idea it existed. "I found something interesting about the alien ships," she said quietly. Frank wiped his hands on a cloth. "What is it?" "Their communication systems," said Olivia. "They use quantum wave technology. We stopped using that 50 years ago because it was too slow and easy to hack." Frank's eyes got wide. "Are you sure?" "Yes," said Olivia. "And their weapons are big, but they work on basic plasma principles. Nothing like our gravity weapons." This was amazing news. Frank called his team together. "Listen up. We need to finish the drive now, and we need to prepare our defenses against outdated weapons." In another part of the ship, Intelligence Officer Greg Reynolds met with Admiral Martinez and Captain Parker. They sat at a round table with screens showing the alien ships. "They call themselves the Hegemony," said Greg. "From what we can tell, they've been conquering other species for thousands of years." "Then why is their technology so basic?" asked Parker. Greg showed them a chart. "That's the interesting part. They don't invent anything. They just take technology from planets they conquer. Then they make it bigger." Admiral Martinez thought about this. "So they've never needed to be creative? To solve problems in new ways?" "Exactly," said Greg. "They literally can't imagine that we might have taken a completely different path." Back in the engine room, Frank's team finished their work. The Hawking drive hummed with power. It could move the ship faster than light in ways the aliens couldn't track. "All systems green," said Frank into his communicator. "The drive is ready, Admiral." In space, more alien ships arrived. There were now 20 huge warships around Earth. They were big and covered with weapons. They looked scary. But in the shadows of Earth's moon, in the clouds of Venus, in the rings of Saturn, human ships waited. They were smaller but much more advanced. On the bridge, Admiral Martinez received a message from Earth. President Kate Miller appeared on a small screen. "The Security Council has made its decision," said the President. "We will not surrender, but we also won't attack first. Let them show their true intentions." "Understood, Madam President," said Martinez. "And our hidden fleet?" "Keep them ready." "But hidden," said Miller. "Let's see what the Hegemony does next." On the main screen, the alien admiral appeared again. He looked angry. "Your time is up, humans," said Zakthal. "You have not prepared your surrender. This means war." Martinez smiled, a small smile. "We hope you'll reconsider, Admiral Zakthal. War would be bad for both our peoples." The alien laughed. "You have no idea what war with the Hegemony means. We will show you." The screen went dark again. Captain Parker looked at Martinez. "They're going to attack, aren't they?" "Yes," she said, "but not right away. They'll try to scare us first with a show of force." She pressed a button on her chair. "All personnel prepare for possible combat, but remember, let them fire first." Throughout the ship, men and women moved to their stations. They weren't scared. They were ready. In the engine room, Frank patted the Hawking drive. "They have no idea what's coming," he said with a smile. The Hegemony ships moved into attack positions around Earth. Their huge ships formed a circle, their weapons pointing at the planet below. They thought they were showing their power. They thought the humans would be scared. They were wrong. Deep, in a base on Mars, Fleet Commander Diane Powell watched the aliens on her screens. She was in a large room cut into the red rock of Mars. Around her, 50 officers worked at their stations. This was Mars Command, hidden from the alien scanners. "All ships report ready, Commander," said her assistant Steve Morris. "They are waiting for your signal." Diane nodded. She was tall with dark skin and short black hair. She had trained for this moment for 20 years. "The Neptune contingency is now active," she said into her communicator. "All ships prepare to launch on my mark." All across the solar system, humans got ready. In underground bases on the moon, in hidden stations in the clouds of Venus, and in asteroid bases, ship engines started to hum. "The Hegemony still doesn't know about our hidden ships?" asked Diane. "No, ma'am," said Steve. "Our stealth systems are working perfectly. They think Earth only has 5 ships, all in orbit around Earth." Diane smiled. The aliens were in for a big surprise. On Earth, at the United Nations building in New York, President Kyle Harrison stood in front of the world's leaders. The room was packed with people from every country. The mood was serious, but not afraid. For 50 years, we've known this day would come, said the president. His voice was strong and clear. When the crashed alien ship was found in 1975, we learned we were not alone. We learned that some aliens out there were not friendly. The crowd was quiet, listening carefully. Since then, every nation has worked together, continued the president. We built ships. We made new technology. We trained soldiers. We did all this in secret, hidden from alien eyes. On screens around the world, billions of people watched the president speak. Today we show the galaxy that humanity will not be pushed around, said President Harrison. We will not be conquered. We come in peace, but we are ready for war. The room erupted in cheers and applause. Back on the EDF Intrepid, Admiral Martinez received a message from Mars Command. Neptune contingency is active, said Commander Powell's voice. All ships are ready, waiting for the hegemony to make the first move. Good, said Martinez. Our plan is working. The aliens think we're weak and scared. Captain Parker walked over with a tablet in his hand. The alien flagship is moving closer, he said. I think they're going to try to scare us with a demonstration. Let them, said Martinez. But watch carefully. If they fire on Earth, we respond immediately. The alien ship, 5 times bigger than the Intrepid, moved to a position above North America. It was huge and covered with weapons. They're charging their main weapon, reported Officer Lisa Green. It looks like they're aiming at an empty area in the Atlantic Ocean. They want to show us their power without killing anyone yet, said Martinez. Classic bullying tactic. The alien ship fired. A bright beam of energy shot down from the ship. It hit the ocean, creating a massive splash and steam cloud. Damage report? Asked Martinez. None, said Green. The water absorbed most of the energy. They didn't even cause a tsunami. Martinez smiled. Now it's our turn for a demonstration. Contact Captain Natalie Chen on the EDF Swift. Tell her to proceed with Operation First Lesson. In the shadow of the moon, a small human ship powered up its engines. It was the size of a submarine, sleek and fast. Captain Natalie Chen sat in the command chair. Swift is ready, Admiral, she said. Moving into position now. The small ship left its hiding place and headed toward the hegemony fleet. It was time to show the aliens that humans were not as weak as they thought. The EDF Swift moved silently toward the hegemony fleet. It was small compared to the alien ships. Captain Natalie Chen sat calmly in her command chair. Her crew of 15 worked quietly at their stations. Are we still invisible to their scanners? She asked. Yes, Captain, said her sensor officer Richard Gomez. Our stealth system is working perfectly. They have no idea we are here. The Swift was now very close to the biggest alien ship, the one that had fired at Earth's ocean. It was the flagship of Grand Admiral Zuckthal. The alien ship was massive, like a floating city in space. Deploy the drone, ordered Natalie. From the bottom of the Swift, a small drone was released. It was the size of a basketball. It moved slowly toward the alien flagship. On the Intrepid, Admiral Martinez watched everything on her screens. Is the drone in position? She asked. Almost there, replied Captain Parker. The aliens still haven't noticed it. On all communication channels, Grand Admiral Zuckthal's voice boomed. People of Earth, you have seen our power. One of our small weapons could destroy your cities. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Martinez smiled. Now, she said. On the Swift, Captain Chen gave the order. Activate the drone. The small drone flashed with blue light. It sent out a special electromagnetic pulse. The pulse was designed to affect only the alien ship's shield frequency. The effect was immediate. All lights on the massive alien flagship flickered and died. The huge ship floated in space, powerless. What just happened? Asked Grand Admiral Zuckthal, his voice now confused and angry. Your system should come back online in about 10 minutes, said Admiral Martinez calmly. We just wanted to show you something. You sent one tiny vessel against our dreadnought? The alien admiral asked, his voice filled with shock. How did you do this? That's not important right now, said Martinez. What's important is that you understand something. We are not as primitive as you think. The other alien ships moved to protect their flagship. They fired up their weapons, pointing them at where they thought the Swift might be. Swift, return to base, ordered Martinez. Your mission is complete. The small ship turned and sped away, still invisible to alien scanners. On the alien flagship, emergency lights came on. Some systems started working again. You will pay for this insult, shouted Zekthal. This wasn't an insult, replied Martinez. It was a suggestion that you reconsider your position. We don't want war. We want peaceful contact. But we will not be conquered. The alien was silent for a moment. You have surprised us, human. This has not happened in 1,000 years. There's a lot about us that might surprise you, said Martinez. Why don't we talk? Real talks this time. No threats. In Mars Command, Fleet Commander Powell watched the exchange with a smile. The first lesson worked perfectly, she said to her staff. Now let's see if they're smart enough to learn from it. On Earth, President Harrison received the news. Good, he said to his advisors in the White House Situation Room. Now we move to Phase 2, prepare our diplomatic team. Back in space, the alien flagship slowly regained power. Its lights came back on. Its engines started again. Very well, said Grand Admiral Zekthal finally. We will talk. But know this, humans. In all our history, no one has ever done what you just did. The hegemony does not forget such things. Neither do humans, replied Martinez. But we're willing. To start fresh if you are. We have a station between Earth and our moon. We can meet there tomorrow. The alien nodded slowly. Agreed, but we will bring guards. Of course, said Martinez. So will we. As the communication ended, Captain Parker looked at Admiral Martinez. Do you think they'll really talk, or is this a trick? Probably a bit of both, said Martinez. But either way they know now. We are not easy prey. Throughout the solar system, the hidden human fleet remained ready. The first battle had been won without firing a shot. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The meeting station hung in space between Earth and its moon. It was shaped like a wheel, spinning slowly to create gravity inside. Both human and alien ships floated nearby, watching each other carefully. Inside the station, in a large round room, the two sides met. Lead negotiator William Carter represented Earth. He wore a simple blue suit and had gray hair. Next to him sat Dr. Amanda Shaw, a xenobiologist with red hair and green eyes. 4 human guards stood behind them. Across the table, the hegemony's supreme diplomat sat with 3 advisors. The diplomat was taller than Grand Admiral Zekthal, with more colorful scales and 6 eyes instead of 4. 8 alien guards stood at attention behind them. Welcome to our station, said William with a smile. We hope this can be the start of peaceful relations between our peoples. The alien diplomat made a sound like rocks falling. Your species is an anomaly, it said through a translator device. Most civilizations develop space travel after achieving peace. You built warships even as you fought among yourselves. We've always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best, William explained. Humanity's strength comes from our diversity of thought and our constant drive to improve. The alien's 6 eyes blinked in different patterns. You disabled our flagship with a tiny drone. How did you do this? Dr. Shaw spoke up. We've been studying alien technology for decades. In 1975, one of your scout ships crashed in our desert. The crew died, but we learned much from their ship. The aliens looked at each other in surprise. We sent no scout ship to your world in that time, said the diplomat. It wasn't yours, said Amanda. It belonged to a species called the Arcturians. We learned later that they were running from you. The aliens whispered among themselves. Finally, the diplomat spoke again. So you reverse-engineered their technology? William shook his head. Not exactly. We studied it, yes. But we mostly created our own solutions. Your shields, for example. We found a weakness in the frequency pattern that no one had ever exploited before. Impossible, said one of the alien advisors. Our shields are based on technology from 100 conquered worlds. They are perfect. Nothing is perfect, said Amanda. Your problem is that you only build on what already exists. You never look for completely new approaches. The alien seemed angry now. The diplomat's scales changed color slightly. You speak boldly for a species that has just reached space, it said. William smiled. That's what you assumed based on what we let you see. The truth is, we've had ships that can travel beyond our solar system for 30 years. We just kept them hidden. Why? Asked the diplomat. Because we knew we weren't alone out here, said William. And we weren't sure if who we met would be friendly. A wise precaution, admitted the diplomat, though unusual. For the next hour they talked about their two civilizations. The humans explained Earth's history and how nations had slowly learned to work together. The aliens described the hegemony's 5,000-year history of conquest. You must understand, said the alien diplomat. We have always expanded. It is our way. We find new worlds. We conquer them. We take their resources and knowledge. That way won't work with Earth, said William firmly. We offer friendship and trade, but we will fight if we must, and as you've seen, we can fight effectively. The diplomat was quiet for a moment. Our leaders must discuss this new situation. It is unprecedented. Take all the time you need, said William. We'll be here. As the aliens left the room to return to their ship, Amanda turned to William. Do you think they'll really consider peace? She asked quietly. Some of them might, said William, but I don't trust that admiral. He seemed too angry about the drone incident. Back on the Intrepid, Admiral Martinez received their report. Good work, she told them, but stay alert. Not everyone in the hegemony will accept a peaceful solution. On Mars Command, Fleet Commander Powell got the same message. Increase our readiness, she told her staff. I have a feeling the real test is still coming. She was right. Even as the diplomats talked peace, a group of hegemony ships was secretly moving into position near Jupiter. They were planning a surprise attack on the human colonies on the moons of Jupiter. They thought no one could see them. They were wrong. Near the moons of Jupiter, a group of hegemony ships moved quietly. There were 5 of them, all warships. They planned to attack the human colonies on Europa and Ganymede. These colonies were home to thousands of people who mined ice and minerals. The humans will not expect us here, said the hegemony captain to his crew. This attack will show them that they cannot stand against the hegemony. What the aliens didn't know was that humans had seen them coming. Deep space sensors had tracked their movements from the moment they left the main fleet. Captain Howard, Lewis commanded the defense squadron that waited near Callisto, another moon of Jupiter. His ship, the EDF Defender, was hidden behind the moon. With him were 4 other human ships. Are all ships in position? Asked Howard. He was young for a captain only 35 with light brown hair and a small scar on his chin. Yes, sir, replied his second-in-command, Lieutenant Sam Peterson. All ships report ready. The aliens still don't know we're here. Howard nodded. Good. Let them get closer to the colonies. We want them fully committed to their attack. On the, bridge of the Defender, Tactical Officer Evelyn Rodriguez studied the alien ships on her screen. She had dark hair tied back in a tight ponytail, and her brown eyes missed nothing. Their entire tactical doctrine is based on overwhelming force, she observed. They've never faced an enemy who could outthink them rather than just trying to overpower them. Howard looked at her screen. What's your recommendation? Let's use the gravity tech, said Evelyn. They won't expect it and they can't counter it. Howard smiled. Perfect. Prepare the gravity manipulation systems. The human ships had technology that could bend and shape gravity itself. This allowed them to move in ways no other ships could match. As the alien ships approached Europa, they began to charge their weapons. They were ready to fire on the human colony below. Now, ordered Howard, The 5 human ships emerged from behind Callisto. Their engines glowed blue as they accelerated. But instead of moving in straight lines like normal ships, they curved and twisted through space. The gravity technology let them change direction instantly, without slowing down. The aliens saw them and tried to aim their weapons. But the human ships moved too strangely. Their movements didn't follow normal rules of spaceflight. "Fire," ordered Howard. The human ships fired their weapons. Not big, destructive blasts, but precise shots that hit the aliens' engines and weapons. 3 alien ships lost power and drifted in space. The other 2 tried to run away. "Capture those ships," said Howard. "Don't destroy them unless we have to." The Defender chased one of the fleeing alien ships. The alien vessel was fast, but it could only move in straight lines or gentle curves. The Defender twisted through space behind it, catching up quickly. "Disable their engines," ordered Howard. A pulse of energy shot from the Defender. It hit the alien ship's engines, shutting them down. The ship floated helplessly in space. In just 10 minutes, all 5 alien ships were captured. No one on either side had died. Howard sent a message to Mars Command. Attack stopped. All enemy ships captured. No casualties on either side. Fleet Commander Powell received the message and smiled. "Good work, Captain Lewis. Hold position and wait for further orders." She contacted Admiral Martinez on the Intrepid. "The surprise attack has been defeated," she reported. "They tried to hit our Jupiter colonies while the diplomats were talking." Martinez nodded. "I expected something like this. Contact the Supreme Diplomat. Tell them we have captured 5 of their ships near Jupiter. They were attempting to attack our colonies while we were negotiating peace." Back at the meeting station, William Carter received the news. When the aliens returned to the negotiating table, he was ready. "While we've been talking peace," he said, showing them images of the captured ships, "some of your forces tried to attack our people on Jupiter's moons." The Supreme Diplomat's scales changed color in what seemed like embarrassment or anger. "This was not authorized," it said finally. "Perhaps," said William, "but it shows us that some in your hegemony don't want peace." The alien diplomat was quiet for a long moment. Then it said, "This changes things. We must speak with our leaders again." As the aliens left once more, news of the failed attack spread throughout the solar system. Humanity had faced another test, and once again they had passed. News spread quickly through the galaxy. The mighty hegemony, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, had been forced to negotiate with a primitive species. This had never happened before. On hundreds of planets under hegemony control, people and aliens of many kinds heard the story. They heard how small human ships had defeated larger alien ships. They heard how a tiny drone had shut down the hegemony flagship. These stories gave hope to many who had lived under alien rule for generations. 2 weeks after the first contact, Earth was granted a seat on the Galactic Council. This was unheard of for a new species. Usually, a world had to be part of the hegemony for 100 years before getting a seat. Ambassador Linda Sanderson traveled to the Galactic Council. She flew on the EDF Diplomat, a ship designed to show human technology, but not to threaten. Linda was in her 50s, with silver-streaked, black hair and a calm face that hid a sharp mind. The Galactic Council met on a huge space station near the center of the galaxy. It was old, built thousands of years ago by a species that had disappeared long ago. Ships from 100 worlds docked at the station. Inside, the council chamber was a vast room with seats for representatives from all hegemony worlds. Most of these seats were filled by puppet rulers who did whatever the hegemony leaders wanted. Linda walked into the chamber wearing a simple blue dress with a small Earth flag pin. The room went quiet as she entered. Many aliens had never seen a human before. She took her seat at a small table near the center. Next to her sat representatives from other major worlds. One of them, a being with blue skin and 4 arms, leaned over to her. "I am Xanil from the Centauri Federation," he said in a whisper. "What your people did was remarkable." Linda smiled at him. "Thank you. We just want to live in peace, but we will defend ourselves if needed. For millennia, they've..." Told us resistance was futile, explained Zano. You've shown it's not only possible but potentially even easy with the right approach. The council meeting started with speeches from hegemony leaders. They talked about trade and taxes and new laws. Linda listened carefully. She noticed that many representatives looked at her when they thought no one was watching. Finally, it was Earth's turn to speak. Linda stood and walked to the center of the room. People of the galaxy, she began. Earth comes in friendship. We are young compared to many of you. We have much to learn, but we also have things to share. The room was completely silent. We have learned that the hegemony has ruled through fear for too long, she continued. They have taken resources from your worlds. They have stopped you from developing your own technology. This is not right. Some of the hegemony leaders started to look angry, but they didn't interrupt. Earth proposes a new way, said Linda. Free trade between all worlds, sharing of knowledge, and most importantly, freedom for each world to choose its own path. A murmur went through the room. This kind of talk had never been allowed before. The hegemony can no longer bully worlds into submission, said Linda. Earth's fleet stands ready to defend any world that wants freedom. Back on Earth, scientists studied star maps they had taken from captured hegemony ships. These maps showed hundreds of inhabited worlds, many under hegemony control. President Harrison met with his advisors in the White House. We need a plan to help these worlds if they want freedom, he said. It's risky, said one advisor. We could start a galaxy-wide war. Sometimes standing up for what's right is risky, replied the president. But we can't just sit by while others are oppressed. On Mars Command, Fleet Commander Powell received new orders. Prepare training programs for other species, the orders said. We will teach them to defend themselves. The hegemony's grip on the galaxy was starting to loosen. And it was all because humans had laughed in their faces instead of cowering in fear. 1 year after first contact, the galaxy looked very different. The hegemony had fractured, with many star systems declaring independence. Earth led a coalition of free worlds, sharing technology and establishing mutual defense pacts. Admiral Martinez, now Fleet Admiral, stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned EDF Democracy. It was the largest ship humans had ever built, but it wasn't designed for war. It was built to help free worlds defend themselves. Through the large window, Martinez watched ships from a dozen different species training together. They flew in formation, learning the tactics that humans had developed. Captain Ronald Miller joined her on the deck. He had served on the Intrepid during first contact and now commanded his own ship. Amazing view, he said, looking at the mixed fleet of ships. Martinez nodded. 1 year ago, these species were all under hegemony control. Now they're learning to defend themselves. To think they called us primitive, said Miller, shaking his head. Their greatest mistake, Martinez replied, was assuming that being young meant being weak. They couldn't imagine that our struggles made us stronger. The alien ships executed a perfect formation change. Human officers had been teaching them for months and they were learning quickly. On Earth, President Harrison met with representatives from 20 formerly oppressed worlds. They gathered in the United Nations building to sign the Galactic Freedom Charter. This charter guarantees the rights of all intelligent beings, said the president. It establishes free trade between our worlds and mutual defense. No species will ever be allowed to conquer another again. The hegemony still existed, but it was much smaller now. Many of its leaders had been removed by their own people. The new hegemony government was more careful, especially with humans. Ambassador Linda Sanderson continued her work on the Galactic Council. She helped create new laws that protected smaller, weaker worlds from being taken over by stronger ones. The age of conquest is over, she told the council. The age of cooperation has begun. In deep space, scientists from Earth and 10 other worlds worked together on new technology. They combined human creativity with alien knowledge to build better ships, cleaner energy, and medicines that could cure many diseases. Dr. Amanda Shaw led this scientific exchange program. Each species thinks differently, she explained to a group of students. When we work together, we solve problems faster than any of us could alone. On Mars, Fleet Commander Powell trained officers from dozens of worlds. You don't need the biggest ships or the most powerful weapons, she told them. You need smart tactics and brave crews. The EDF democracy traveled to newly freed worlds, helping them build their own defenses. One day, it visited a planet that had been under hegemony control for 500 years. The local people, who had green skin and 4 arms, welcomed the humans with a huge celebration. They had tears in their eyes as they thanked Fleet Admiral Martinez. For centuries we believed there was no hope, said their leader. We thought we would be slaves forever. You showed us that freedom is possible. Back at what remained of the hegemony high command, the new leaders reviewed everything that had happened since they met humans. How did we lose so much in just 1 year? Asked one leader. We underestimated them, said another. We thought because they were new to space they were weak. We were wrong. The final transmission from Earth to the remnants of the hegemony high command was brief. It came from President Harrison himself. Next time you meet a new species, you might want to say hello before you threaten them. Just some friendly advice from us primitives. Throughout the galaxy, the story spread of how humans had laughed in the face of the mighty hegemony, and then changed everything. It was a story of courage, intelligence, and the power of freedom. On the observation deck of the Democracy, Fleet Admiral Martinez watched the stars. What do you think we'll find out there? Asked Captain Miller, pointing to the distant stars they hadn't explored yet. I don't know, said Martinez with a smile. But I hope they're friendly. And if they're not, well, we'll be ready. The Democracy turned and moved toward its next mission, its engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. Humanity's journey among the stars had just begun.